Yeah.
How do we know that?
You're live. You see something
Oh,
live.
and the theme is I tried.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
cheers to Happy Friday.
Happy
Friday.
Friday.
Good times. Okay, Rosemary.
All right, Miss Shell. We do not own rights to this song that was just playing.
It's just what I was listening to in the car before I came, so we keep it going.
Yes.
All righty.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome to Latin Soul Vibes. I'm Rose.
I'm Shelly.
My co-host couldn't be here today. She had a previous engagement, but you know, she's here in spirit. We'll miss her.
Yes, we'll miss
Tiff. Yeah, but I have a special guest with me today, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm here. We're gonna see
My
what kind of
sister in
conversation.
love.
Yes, family love, coming
In
to
love.
support.
Yes.
She asked, I came.
Thank you
Hope
so
to
much.
keep it interesting.
Yes, I hope so too. Now, Shelly is a jack of all trades. She does so many different things.
So it's one of those where people say you have 5 jobs. That's
Yes.
kind of me. Different jobs evolving over time, which is why I like this T-shirt that's saying I tried from Lilo and Stitch, and Stitch is standing on his head, but at the end of the day, he said he tried, and that's kind of how I am. I'll
Yes.
try. I try different things, but I'm a human resource professional by trade, so I do work full time, real job of human resources at a law firm right now.
Well, give us a little bit about your background, how you started, what you started doing.
Yeah, well, to give a little bit of background is to kind of talk about the present as well. I just had a good conversation with one of my best friends in a car, and I knew I was coming over here today, and I was thinking about, when I was growing up, and all I want to know is, I'm getting through school, I'm getting good grades, and I knew I didn't want to just be in an office being admin. So I just really worked really hard and stuff, and started out finally going to school, doing accounting. For years it took me to do it, and started working in New York and started learning payroll and benefits, and that branched off into HR and dealing with people and not going into
Did you go
accounting.
to like college right after school to do that?
Not at all.
Okay,
So again, she brings that up because my past is what brings me to a present situation that I'm trying to work on to get going, which we'll talk about later. But no, I mean, when I was coming out of high school, like in the top 25 in my high school up in Newark, I grew up born and raised in Newark. I applied for a lot of colleges all over the place, like Temple, out in schools out in LA, Long Beach Island, Long Beach, wherever it is out there, all kinds of school. And I got accepted to a lot of schools, but I didn't know what you do after that. So financial aid and all of that I was doing on my own. I am a first gen graduate.
So no one to help you. You were
Yeah, my
trying
mom
to figure it out
didn't
as you
know.
go. Yeah.
And my senior year of high school, my mom got really, really sick with a disease that they didn't even know what it was at the time. So they just thought it was cancer. And for most of my senior year, she was in the hospital. So I was there with, we lived 2-family house, grandmother upstairs, my cousins and all of us in the same house. So I was just trying to get through. Like my uncle and my grandmother made sure I got through high school with going to prom and all that because my mom was really sick. So at that point I was working. I had been working since I was like a junior in high school, and I just graduated and I kept working is what I did. I didn't go to school. I tried to go to like a business school, and that wasn't really doing it for me. And then I just worked full time because I needed to work full time really to take care of myself. So in my younger years, that's what I was doing, working full time. It was like 8 years out of high school before I went to college and started going part-time because I just knew I wanted to do something. Like I worked jobs. I worked retail a lot. I would move up in my positions, become managers.
You knew what you didn't want.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah, you knew
that was what it was.
I
said, and this is going to sound a little crazy because I'm going to say what I used to say in my head is I'm not being anybody's secretary, getting anybody's coffee.
Right.
And I have much respect and love for all the secretaries out there and anybody that's getting anybody's coffee and seeing. I probably still couldn't have been the one to do it, but you know, they make good money. People depend on them. I know anytime I've had assistance, I'm like, I need assistance in my personal life. So believe me, I've always appreciated them at work. But I knew what I did not want to do. So I always grinded in that manner. And, you know, I enjoyed my youth and all of that. And, you know, when I did start going to school, it was like I was paying out of pocket, again, not knowing what to do. I had went to a business school, took out loans. It wasn't even for much money, but it stopped me from getting other loans because I didn't pay that loan. So that was crazy. So I paid
yourself into debt.
I paid my whole undergraduate out of pocket. By the time I graduated, which it took me 6 years to get through, and at that point I started working. I was an HR manager when I graduated from college, or I might have been a director of HR at that point. So I went for my master's. I'm like, okay, if this is what I'm going to do, I got to know what I'm doing. So I went for a master's. I had a job that paid for it, which was really good, and just kept going on. And I knew once I started doing it that I was like, I'm gonna have my own business by the time I'm 50. I'm gonna be an HR consultant. So, because people did that, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm not working for anybody by the time I'm 50. But then once you start working and you're making good money and you're like grinding and you just, you know, I've had good jobs where I've traveled a lot and just been able to do a lot and see things. And up until I left, you know, the fancier jobs with, you know, you making all that money and stuff, then you realize, you know, it's not even about the money. But one of the things that I kind of took away from that is, you know, valuing the time with family, but also making sure that, you know, my nephews, nieces, whoever, that they just know something different, like that they know that there are options out there. So that was a big deal for me.
So where were you working after your master's?
When I finished my master's, actually my last semester, so I was at Manitou Souls.
Okay.
And there I was their director of HR for the whole US. And it was a UK based company. So I was there for like 7 years, but it was a great opportunity. I learned so much. I just understood a lot more. And then when you work HR, you work on the payroll side, like, you know, from the payroll side, what you get to see, and which I learned way before even going for my master's while I was still getting my accounting degree, is when I first started doing payroll, I saw what kind of money people made. And I was working for an insurance company, which nobody remember it because I'm sure they went out of business decades ago, but it was Warner Insurance, and it was up in like Fairlawn. That was my last Jersey job. And I went there as, like an insurance claims person over the phone, and got to know people. And I got an opportunity to work in payroll, and that's how it happened. And my whole trajectory changed based on just working hard and somebody noticing that, and just meeting people and within the company. And I saw people that were making, and I've seen way more than this at this point, but I saw, like, it was a black guy that was a manager of a department, and he was like making $75,000 a year. And this was a long time.
Right. And I was going to say, at that time, it was like big money.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, we can make money like that?
Yeah.
Then seeing, like, you know, the VPs and stuff, like making 200,000, sales guys, like doing commission, and seeing that changed everything for me, because there's money to be made out there if you put yourself in a position to work hard and do that. Like, it doesn't mean that that's everything. So that was a big deal for me. And but that while I was at Manitou Souls, so that definitely took me away from family in a big way, because we worked really hard, the leadership team. We worked hard, played hard. We spent a lot of time together. I traveled so much. So like the relationships, like I saw my family holidays and stuff like that. And my grandmother, when she started getting sick in 06, 07, that's what started changing it for me, because I kept, you know, needing to not be at work just to be at the hospital and all that. And it just changed, because she used to be surprised. I would walk up in the hospital. She's like, oh, I can't believe you're here. And that just crushed my heart. So that changed a lot. And I still did my HR. I left that company. Like, one of my best friends had went to Hong Kong through the company. And I was like, I'm not staying at this place with all this craziness. It was gone.
So this is Madame Tussauds.
Mhm.
So you were there for how long?
Like 7 years.
Okay.
Mhm.
So then what happened after Madame Tussauds?
Before Madame Tussauds, I was in the fashion industry. So my first job in New York was with CK James.
Okay.
So I was there for like almost 7 years.
Is that while
After
you were in
moved out.
school?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm. And they are the ones who told me to go get the master's
Okay.
as well. So they were paying for most of
Okay,
it. And
that's
then I
right.
ended up
Mhm.
leaving in the end. But I left the fashion industry because I was like tired of all the spoiled people that you deal with all the designers and everything, and went to Madame Tussauds. But then I got sick of all the craziness of the people stealing cash and this and that. But I did so much there. Like, it's the most accomplished job. And now, with the law firm, I'm getting to do a lot more of that.
Mhm.
Then I went back into apparel. But when I went back into apparel, I went to a job that it was like a vacation because it was small. It was one location in New York and in Pennsylvania. And it was like,
Is this what you did after Madame Tussauds?
Yeah.
Okay.
and it was a vacation to me because I got off at a normal time. I wasn't working on the weekends.
Was the pay the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Pay was the same. Pay was the same, but things that I got at Madame Tussauds, like stock options and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, we're
that
not.
stuff
Yeah.
was not.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, and at the time I left Madame Tussauds, and I regret it, but not. I left money on the table, like in a big, but I did it for a reason. Like,
Mhm.
we had just gotten a payout, like each time an investment company bought in
Mhm.
the leadership team, we all had stock. So
Mhm.
we would always get paid from it.
Okay.
So, you achieved your goals because you wanted investors to invest anytime you need. So it was a no-brainer. But we had just gotten a nice payout.
Mhm.
And if I had stayed beyond, say, the next 6 months to come, I would have ended up staying there another like 3 to 5 years or something to get the next one, which was going to
Yeah.
be huge.
Mhm.
But I made a conscious decision because it really mattered to me with my family. And my grandmother, when she passed away on my mom's birthday.
Oh.
So it's like a lot, with so much
Mhm.
family stuff. And, like that's,
Yeah.
you and my brother getting together back then and how I've been in the kids'
Mhm.
life the
Mhm.
entire time, that would have never happened
Right.
had I stayed at that company.
Okay.
So the money stuff came, all that. I was back in apparel, but then the company that I was with started shrinking. It was men's apparel, so it was definitely very different. That's Tahi pants back
Mhm,
then and everything. So I was out. Then I was out for surgery, and the CEO was leaving to go to Hong Kong. So I got a package I put them with a PEO and got a package to kind of go away and sit back. And at that point, I got another job, which was great. But then that company got bought by another company. I stayed with them for like a year, but then my mom got sick. And that's when I got the opportunity to do what I said I was going to do,
Mhm.
that I had never even taken the actions to do,
Mhm.
which have my own HR consultant.
So that must have been like a huge leap of faith.
It was. The day
Because
that
you have all this, when you're working a 9 to 5, that's
Yeah.
consistent money.
Yeah.
So taking the leap of faith, kind of being your own entrepreneur,
Yeah.
working for yourself, not knowing if this income is
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
How did you do that? How did you handle that?
I tried. And I'm going to keep saying that because it was crazy. I was with Capelli. It was Valley Jewels. It was Capelli,
Mhm.
whatever. It's good company, GME, etc. But when you have values in regard to what's important to you and how you
Mhm.
work, and I'm not an HR person that is just by the book or just fluff. I get to know the people. I think you should be right by people, and they did right by people, but we had different philosophies. So I am forever grateful that the guy who bought the company, he kept me. He had an HR person.
Mhm.
But he kept me and changed my title to Director of Talent Management because that's what I was really good at, doing the recruitment and their employer branding, like on LinkedIn, social media stuff. So that was important to him. But we would sit and he said, look, you're not going to make more money with me. He said, you may get bonuses or something, but I don't pay like that. So
Yeah.
where you're at, if you're, he
This
said,
is
but,
it.
yeah, but he said, but I respect if that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I had looked a little bit, but I had a relationship with a woman who I had interviewed with years before that every so often we would stay in touch, go to dinner and everything. And she had started her own recruitment firm. And she had gotten a big contract with somebody and she needed some HR projects done. She said, because I said, let's go to lunch. I said, what do you have? How can we make this work? And so she said, listen, start these projects. We can start out with some hourly stuff and then we'll see where it goes from some recruitment. So from that, at the jewelry company, we had let this VP go and she went someplace else as a VP of sales. And her and I were tight and she was like, if can you help us find some people and recruit? So already on the side, I had started recruiting.
Yeah.
So and that's what did it. So I went and worked with this woman who in the end, we didn't click in the end because I was like her, but she wanted me to be like her minion, and that didn't necessarily work. And it was very new. So the day that I left corporate America, it was like right before Memorial Day. And I was like, I was getting things in place. I was like, oh, I got to get me a new computer because I can't not be able to, be online and work and all that stuff. I went and bought me a new laptop right before leaving. My car was older and it was fine, but it was older and I was just starting to like,
let me get a new car.
Pay for things. I did. I actually went like, he paid me for like a month or two and kept me on the insurance and stuff. So that part was good.
Okay.
But I went and got like a new lease, new car, and I was like, who the hell does that? But that was my faith. That was my faith, because I told him I could go part-time and I knew that I was going to work the other time doing the other stuff because I needed to take care of my mom. She was moving in with me. And he was like, oh, I don't know, because I really needed full-time. And just so everybody's clear, he was required to give me the FMLA time. And I knew that. And I could have told him, look, you have to give me the time for at least but I didn't care. So I let that go for us to end on good terms. We worked things out. And he kept me on payroll for a little bit and for benefits enough, which was all that mattered. Because then through that, one of my best friends, the one that had went to Hong Kong, Brett had came and was the general manager at Ripley's. So before he started there in March of 2016, and I left corporate May. It was right before Memorial Day, and he already had me doing stuff for him. Okay. So he was like, "Oh, if you're gonna leave, definitely, we could do something here."
So you already had things lined up.
It just fell into place. I didn't have it was
meant to be.
God had it lined up. Let's just be clear, because I did not. I thought about it, but that's why, and it was truly going out on faith. I had a mortgage and everything. So at that point I had moved, so I wasn't in the house. My rent's high, so you have your bills.
Either way, you have your bills. Yeah. And
I did that all the way through people starting to return to COVID in 2020. So from 2016 to 2020 was just my HR consulting. Okay. And in 2020, through this person. So I worked with the woman for a while. Then when we stopped working together, she ended up calling me back to take over a project from her. And that was in like 2018, 2019, which had me traveling like crazy, which is beautiful. I enjoyed traveling again. So I had that. So I had Ripley's. I had the recruitment stuff with her, then the training stuff with the company in Italy. And then I also, through that, through a person that I work with, they had wanted an HR consultant, just remote. Small companies don't need a heavy hitter person, but for the right price, they get a person like me as you need me. So, and that's what I was able to do. So it was good. But in the midst of all that, and Rose knows, I started really, I got into my church. The boys were coming up through high school and stuff like that. And one thing I was really passionate about is we don't know what we don't know. And when it comes to the college process and applications
Right.
and all of that.
Mhm.
We don't know, like as minorities, we just don't know enough. And we swear we do, and we swear we keep getting better, but we just don't know enough.
Right.
So I started doing a
So
certification
what
class.
in regards to occupation as of right now?
Mhm.
What are you doing right now?
So 2020, one of my clients, which was a law firm, which somebody referred me, a woman that worked with me, she's like, oh, my husband's law firm, they need somebody. So I took them on as a client in 2017 for a whole year. And then I got them a full-time person and I left and went and did the Italian company thing and all of that. They called me in 2020. The one person, she was minority owner. She was getting ready to be majority owner and buy the firm. She said, and I want you to come back. But she wasn't happy with the other person. But I want you to be a full-time employee. And it was something that was worth it to do because I wanted the opportunity to work for her as her own in the firm. And when you do work for yourself, when you don't work, you don't get paid. So when I go away with my clients, if I'm offline with my clients for a week or two, I'm not paid. So that was a factor. I definitely had flat remote fees for one of them. But for another, it was not like that. So, and then you also, when you have friends that are your clients, you give them good rates. And then you think about it later, which with Brett, when I had to go up, he was like, of course, you should have asked for a higher rate sooner. So it's, that part was good. And like they put me on the insurance and all that. But right now, today, so I went full-time. August will be 2 years back in corporate America. But it's a sacrifice because I was almost done with my college counseling certification. And I was in the midst of class and all that. And then I didn't take any classes for a year or so. I haven't done enough to get my college counseling business off the ground. So it's a sacrifice when you work full time for someone else, depending on your position and your level and how you are. I know how I work. And with my position going into that firm to head up their HR and now starting to have a team and changing the culture and that's a lot. I don't have to work a lot of late hours and I work from home a lot, but it's a lot. So you're like drained. And I still have one of my clients.
So you're still doing consulting on the side?
Yes, I tried not to because it was so consuming, but we stopped for a couple months. She was like, no. And then I tried to give her to somebody else and that didn't work out. It didn't work. Well, I said, God is telling me, no, you keep this going, which I'm glad because I'm actually, thinking about it a lot of ways. When I took the job full time, I made clear to them, this was before people going hybrid. I said, I'm only going to work in the office 3 days a week. So that's the thing that you do too. When you start, once you go to work for yourself, when you go to work for somebody else in full time, you're going to negotiate differently. You're never going to just say, okay, I'm getting ready to give you 5 days of my life in person every day. Absolutely not. So before,
So that's good. You're working 3 days a week.
Three in the office, 2 right now.
Right, 3 in the office.
And also, here's another job. I'm an adjunct professor as well.
Correct. I was getting into that.
So again, but this goes back to as I left corporate because of the connections of being in partnership with LIM College, which is a fashion school in New York. As soon as they found out, I was talking to the guy and I don't even know what he must have been emailing about for me to be on a panel because I would sit on different panels and things. And I said, oh, well, just let me know. I said, because I'm not, with them anymore. I'm not working. And he immediately said, do you want to be an adjunct? Yeah. And I'm like.
So it's all networking, Yes. It's very important. Yes. Networking, who you know.
Because as she says, I forget all of the things that I did during that time. I also got referred to sit on a board for a charter school to open in New York. So I did that. And all of these things are much easier to do when you're not confined to
a 9 to 5.
So I sat on the board for that as well. And got involved with a nonprofit called Image Impact International. and was heading up the launch of their program with a couple of colleges in New York. So I got to do a lot of things. And this was just from when I knew I was going to go out on my own. I went to a lot of society HR management events in New York because I knew I needed to network with different people. And that's how I got these different things. So, and now I've been away from all that. So I'm just trying again to get back into, now that events are starting back up, connecting with people. I'm back taking a class. I ended up, because I had such a gap in taking my classes for the certification, I'm paying for extra elective to just get the refresher on finalizing everything again so that I can, be able to give back. Like, that's important to me. I did a lot with the church as well. That was
so. Are you still a professor? Are you still an adjunct professor?
And that's another thing I kept saying I'm going to stop doing. It's not enough time in the day. I like my me time as well. So every semester I would say I'm not doing it anymore. That's not a lot of money. In person was great because you're really connecting with these young people and kind of getting them on track. So the courses that I teach are a part of career and internship services. So it's all about guiding them on their career and interviewing and resumes and all of this different stuff. And while they're doing internships and senior co-ops. So I've been doing that since 2016.
So is that what got you into college counseling? How did you get into college counseling?
I started looking into it because I knew I wanted to do something. And I thought that it was counseling career-wise. But then I was like, I don't want to do that. Not just that. It wasn't enough of an impact. So I'll put it to you like this. When I sat on the board for opening a charter school in New York, that was at grade level. And that was watching a white person take advantage of a position and that you can get money and all that. So I hate to say it like that. I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm just saying this. It's a lot of, but I was anti-charter school. So therefore I love that I got the opportunity to sit on the board because I was the one that would raise the hand to say, no, this is how it actually really happens. And this is what you need to think about in, these urban neighborhoods. So I got to see it at that level. The boys and stuff were in high school. Right. So I'm seeing that at that level. And then being an adjunct professor, I'm seeing all of these people that the ones that look like us aren't taking the proper steps to take advantage of the opportunities.
Right. Correct.
But everybody else is they are proactively doing it. So for me, I was hitting it from all different levels. And that's what made me say, I want to do something. And I found this certification program. And a girl that I was on the board with told me.
Okay.
Yes, that was the other thing. She told me that it existed as we were talking about it. She had just started doing coaching. And she worked for, I think, John Jay in this city. And she was on the board, but she was starting to do it at a leadership level, different coaching. And I said, I want to get into the college aspect. And she said, look into it. She had a friend that did a certification. Okay. And I found this program. And, none of it's cheap. It's out of pocket. No one's paying for it for you. And I did it.
I just something committed. You wanted to do.
I was just, exactly. I was committed and I started taking classes. And the information that you go through, because there's a class on, financial aid and planning, college admissions, the application process, all of these different things that you don't think about. And you're engaging with people. It's online. So from all over the place. And, my intro is always the same. That is, I'm focused on underserved. I'm not focused on, and people make a lot of money off this, but I'm not doing it for the money.
You're doing it to help.
Yeah. So I don't, there's no charge. I do want this to be my business that I do 8 years from now, full time. But I want to set it up where, whatever partnerships I have, I could sustain in that kind of way.
Do you see yourself doing this out of college or doing this separate.
It's
like,
I
on your
don't.
own,
It's funny because the college certification, the counseling certification that I'm going for is to be an independent education consultant.
okay.
So it's not to be a
Hired.
counselor
Mhm.
in higher ed for
Okay.
what they do.
Mhm.
But that's why I always push back with the boys when they say,
Yes.
"Yeah, well, my counselor told me that I should
Mhm.
take this." And I don't care what your counselor told you. College is a business. Everyone understands
Mhm.
that. College is a business. So when you work in the business,
Mhm.
you're selling the business.
Right.
So you may have some that tell you the right way to get in and out of school and be successful and all that. But you have some that will tell you, "Oh, well, Lil T was just saying that to me about, they were saying you should go for a minor in art." And he was like, "But some is so self-taught, and whatever is left that's not the way I want to go." Yeah, because it's a business.
Right.
So if they get you to get that
Right.
minor, they get you to get
They
that
want
money.
money. Right.
So my certification I'm going for is to help families.
okay.
So, and you start working with the reality is we should be having these conversations 7th, 8th grade. You should be already kind of being able to assess. But at the same time, the conclusion that I've come to as well, more recently, as much as we push it, college isn't for everyone.
Correct.
So the thought process, as I told Rose that I was thinking about a lot today with Nora coming on, is that college isn't for everyone. But as parents, and I'm not a parent as in giving birth, but
But you
I've
have
got a
been
lot of
so
co-parenting.
beneficial and so,
There's a whole lot of co-parenting going on.
Yes. And you know when
it's-
we say it takes a village, like
Yeah.
yes, it takes a village. She
And-
has been so beneficial. We appreciate you so much for what you've done for
And
our
it's
boys.
not just
and
her,
continue
yeah.
to do because
Right.
we're not done. Especially with the older two
Yeah.
going to college and
Yeah.
doing everything. And like you said, a lot of parents, like I went to college and obviously your brother and
Yeah.
my husband we all went to college, but things have changed. Things change and there's tons of things that we don't know.
But it's also, me and Dad were talking about this in the car. We were trying to get to the place for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take it back. First of all, I'm old enough to be Rose's mother. So, because this is important generational. This is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought about this. My age generation, grandmothers, and my grandmother, she worked, but they felt like you, especially as women, you do good if you get married, get a husband, and you may or may not have to work. But if you don't, then you have to work.
Right.
Okay? So then my mom and them, for their kids, if you had one that was doing good in school and that's what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
but if you had these other ones over there, especially growing up in inner city, that you don't know what they get ready to get into, but you're praying it's not jail or anything, then that's how it went. They didn't know how to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Not where we grew up. I'll put it like
Right.
that. Not where we grew up. So I was one that wanted to grind and do what I needed to do, just like Rose.
Mm-hmm.
But then I flipped to the generational, because then you do have your generation, inclusive of like T, who was a little older, but you have your generation that you want better for your kids, and you're automatically gonna give them better, which is great because of so much that we didn't get to do, like the way we vacation and all these stuff. We didn't get to do all that. We lucky you went to the beach, and you went to DR, but we didn't get to do all that. But then the flip side is your generation also. It's like, you got to let them find their way and all that kind of stuff. Well, my generation, you're going to find your way, but I'm going to tell you where you're going to. And it's a good article Deb just shared with me in regard to what kids still need. Like it's 7 things they still need, because they still need guidance. And kids love boundaries, because ultimately what you want them to be, regardless of whether they go to college or not, you want them to be productive contributors to society.
Yes. At the end of the day, yes.
And be able to take care of themselves and all that. And what we know is that we would rather they get to do that sooner than later, so that they can enjoy the fruits of their labor. So as much as the college counseling is very much a huge thing, because that to me is very family oriented to help educate people and take them on the process. I definitely think that there's a side of it that goes, whether you go to a tech school or whether you just say you want to go to work every day, but making sure that if you're going to work every day, you're seeing what satisfies you or what doesn't, or just that you understand you do have to go to work every day and you want to be a contributor because you want to have your own, because you want to have this or whatever the case may be, which is why we look for work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so it's interesting, you know, whereas we have one that's up in Boston, full ride at Boston University, and he's one that he's been grown, seemed like for all his whole life. He's raised by a single mom, and she's like, yeah, well, he has to understand his decisions he made. And you know, and he loves, for me, I treat him totally differently. Like I treat him like a child. I get frustrated but he understands that it's definitely for love. It's because I know you think you know everything, but you don't know
Now,
anything.
Is it a challenge? Because even just with the nephews, you know, they're all so different.
Yeah, they are very different. They're very different. And
They're
I have nieces
so
too.
Yes,
All my nieces are good. Like they're good.
The boys,
you know, it's
the boys.
It's
cool
as you
minds
think.
in there.
Yeah, and it's a whole group of the boys that were growing up
The
together.
group of boys, they're all so different.
They're
They choose
very
different
different.
paths.
And I deal with them all differently, but there's one thing that they all get from Auntie. They all get straight talk and questions. And when they learn, when they're smart, the two that learn the most are Jordan, my godson, and Lil Tiva, which is their older, because I had them from baby. So they were like, you know, every weekend, every other weekend, having the whole time, go all over the place with them. And so that they, when they would fear or hesitate on the questions, at the end of the day, they already know, like, she gonna soften in some kind of way. But they've learned, answer the question in full, because you're gonna get 20 more if you get, and don't give a like BS answer. Like Jordan, I think he's to the point where him and his friends are like the same way. Like they actually enjoy it because they enjoy like the different questions that I'll start asking them. Because kids will tell you anything, and believe me, doesn't mean that they're always telling the truth. Absolutely not. Yeah. But it's the conversations, and I found this. I wish I sent this to you in advance. I sent Lil T. Well, I'm just telling his business now. I found a note that I had him sign when we were moving stuff around, and it had fell out, and I didn't realize it was a piece of paper back in 2020. So you're not gonna really be able to read it. But I had him sign like this contract thing because when he messed up his first semester and it was just saying how much. You know, like I made bad decisions. My life could have went left, but I wanted to go right. Like I was telling him, this what you say, and this what you sign, you love so. And I found it, and I sent him. That's why I asked if he was here. I texted to him the other day and told him I was very proud of him because life could have went different. Yeah, you know, it's they're different, very different. They're also different. Like one, like he stays under the radar. The Jordan is a social butterfly, you know, but he knows like, but I got to do this college thing, so I'm gonna go do it, and I'm letting. And then we have my youngest who's coming up too. He's a sophomore. Yeah, he's getting ready for that. Tip's son is a senior. He's about to graduate. Yes, he's getting ready to go to school. But see, just as he's going off to school, going and working for, and that's what I feel like too. I feel like I'm missing my window of opportunity of kids and families to work with because of working full time. Now, I'm not knocking full time, but you know, I gave this, 2 years to see. And that doesn't mean like I'm not going to need a job, but I feel like if I'm going to work full time, you know, you just got to pay me a whole lot more money because I'm sacrificing things that are important to me. And I'm very happy where I'm at because they're super flexible, you know, whatever it is that I need. But at the same time, because it's all consuming, my brain is like, all right, I'm done because I'm juggling that. I'm juggling my client over here who I'm not even supposed to have anymore. I'm juggling this adjunct thing that, you know, grading papers and being online, doing this. I only do virtual now. That's another thing. So I'll continue to teach as long as it's virtual because I used to get up and be on a 6 a.m. train teaching at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's different. But, you know, just people are different in general, and people move at their own pace. That's something I had to learn as well. You know, I've said that recently to, not very recent, but, you know, maybe a couple months ago to people. Same way people went, because Deb said it to me, like, it doesn't mean just because that's, you know, the way you want to do it doesn't mean everybody want to do it that way. And when, you know, because she'll call me at times like an overachiever, not as much anymore, but they tease me about like 5 jobs and different stuff. And part of it, and look, I used to have an accessories business, remember I did that, and that started randomly just because I started making jewelry, and I was like, oh, I like it, and I started. But whenever I do something and I try it all the way. If I like it and it brings me peace and joy, I try it all the way. I go all in, but that doesn't mean everybody doesn't do that.
I was gonna say,
yes, right. But I know that that's how I am different.
The way you do things might not be the way your best friend does things.
She knows
me.
She doesn't. She's like, yeah, I am.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know, your best friend might be relaxed and chill, like, oh, you know, and you might be the overachiever, but you learn how to balance.
Yeah, because but it doesn't. Nobody's way is right, but it's what's right for you.
Correct.
So fast forward to where I'm at right now. This has been a lot for 2022 of what I've been thinking about. Because one, I made a 10-year plan that is now down to. I made my 10-year plan. It had to be in 2020 because that's when I went back and full time and all of that. And the 10-year plan is because I do not want to be working full time for anyone in 10 years. Like that to me is like taboo.
Agreed.
Okay. I also want to be, this is where I'm bad. As much as I try, then I fall off. I pay for Babbel to learn Spanish. She doesn't talk Spanish to me because I want to be able, look, I want to go and live in DR some months out the year. I'll help families there. Like I feel like you know, there's a whole element of just resources that can be there for people. And that's what I want to be. So getting back into 2022, I think about, I can't be working like crazy, just focused on that full-time job. That's that paycheck, because although that's the paycheck that pays my bills and I enjoy it and I love when I do good work, it's juggling a whole lot of balls there and then trying to juggle a whole lot of balls outside of it. If God is saying to me, still keep my acoustic client, that means I need to figure out how to make sure to have that happen. Class is back in session for me, taking a class. I'm fortunate because Nato is going to be my project for this class. But it's just look at how many others. And see, I forgot a whole nother job that I do. So one of the teachers who had taken a certification when I was doing the college admissions, she referred me to this program called Scholar Match. And for the past, I guess this is going to be like the second year of it that I do. And it's a volunteer where you get matched with a student from wherever. And my first go round,
wherever in the country, or?
Okay. And but what I learned is, because I had one from LA for this year, and it didn't work. But I had the first semester a girl from Philly. This girl, her name was Tiara. And I had this girl, Natalie, that was out in Miami. And this year I had a girl, Daniela, that's up in Boston. And then it was girl, Lima, but that one didn't work because the time difference.
Okay.
But you actually work with them from like July all the way through May on their college applications, essays, making sure they're getting everything in. And you have to be at a high academic standard to be accepted into this program, but you're in an underserved community.
Okay.
So the one Daniela, who I'm working with right now, she won a Crestbridge full ride for her bachelor's and is a finalist for the Gates Foundation. Wow. Yes, she's like got it all together. Okay. But so that's another thing. So those are the things that I keep getting little bits of where I can have connections and stuff like that. You also gotta put your money into it. There's organizations that you have to, you should belong to and all of that kind of stuff. So right now it's just I still gotta take my me time.
That's it. So
You
let's
know?
get a little bit into you. Your personal life.
My personal life. Did you just
family, you know,
Yes,
your church,
yes,
because you know
yes,
you
yes,
do
yes.
things at church as
Well,
well.
and church.
You do dedicate
Yeah.
time to us. You stop by, do things.
Yes,
so
I do.
tell us,
Yeah.
a little bit about your personal life. You recently purchased
Yes.
a home.
Thank you to Rosemary. Very happy
Your
about
local
that.
real estate agent.
Yes. Yes, and I wasn't looking for it. I tell you, I fussed so much, but I love where I am. My 2 puppies are there.
You have 2 puppies.
Yeah, I got to get my patio organized so that I can start cooking on the grill. Yes, right? That's what I said.
I'm ready for
So
this warm weather.
yes, the weather's been beautiful.
Yes.
But that's why I say like I need my me time. Like now it's coming into summer, so I have 2 more weeks as adjunct, and this summer I'm not doing any classes. All I keep saying is please don't ask me, because I'll say no, that I'm not doing it, and then the girl Angela will send like, can you take this class and do this class for us? And I'm like, fine, a couple hours every 2 weeks, you know. Oh, excuse me, but not this summer. So I have 2 more weeks of that. My class that I'm taking finishes up in June. And then after that, I'm just looking forward to the summer. I want to enjoy my house. I want to enjoy the pool. Like those are things like laying out. And
so how do you find time to dedicate to your church and do what you do with them? Because that's a whole nother.
And the only thing, the pandemic changed everything with the church. And I had taken, I was secretary at the church for, I guess, a year or so before the pandemic hit. And once the pandemic hit, even now, the girl who was the original secretary, she's just the only one they use now. So that's fine. They just started opening the doors. And at first you had to register, and they just stopped where you have to register. But even tonight, while I was at Deb's and we were watching a virtual, they didn't have a lot of people inside. So right now, that's like a work in progress. And I wanted, my faith is my faith, and I love my pastor, my church, and everything. But church is a piece of work as well. And I am a member of the scholarship committee that has dwindled. Because last year when it was time, and I was serving as chair, and the deacons got involved in saying, how we were to distribute the money, which is totally not the way that we did. Like people had to be going to school. You had to have proof of this. You had to, have been paying whether it's $1 a month or whatever for tithes and they were like, no, it's a gift. It's not a scholarship. It's a gift. Everybody that graduates gets a gift. Oh, right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, in a really bad way. And then they were like, when talking to the deacon, that's the head of it, he was like, just like your boss tells you what to do, the pastor can tell you what to do. So that kind of
shut it down.
Yeah, for me. Yeah. So the only thing is I have a good relationship with the pastor and the other secretary who's like a right hand to them. And with
so you're no longer involved as the secretary or anything like that. You just go as a member.
Yes, but the secretary part is mainly because the church hasn't opened. So we don't do bulletins and all that kind of stuff anymore. The scholarship committee piece, I stepped away from being the chair after the year ended, and that happened. Yeah, because first of all, nobody's talking to me like that.
And it's going against what you believe in.
Yes, 100%. But I also know that because the girl Lisa told me, she said, Pastor said that anytime you need to talk to him, you can talk to him. If I had wanted to have that conversation, I know it could have been had, but it was bigger than a conversation because, the head of the deacons, he called me on it because I was like, all right, so we're giving this money. So are we going to get receipts in regard to the money going towards college? And he was like, don't you worry your head about that. So,
okay.
Well, so it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere, as women. And so that goes against everything that I'm about. But I love my church faithfully. I got into my church very late in life, in my 50s, and I'm still in my 50s. Just saying. But my church is still my church, and as we open up more, we're moving away a little bit further. Only impacts it because we used to start church at 11, and now it starts at 9:30 in the morning.
You're like, no.
Yeah. So, which I'm like, I'm a
Having
burn
a little
for that.
hard time.
Yes. The girl did recently call me and ask me if I could be a part of, like, they needed like somebody just to usher up the person to do announcement because they do it first. And I was like, I can't do it every Sunday, but if you let me know in advance, it's just 2 a month. I can do it, but I haven't been called to do it yet. So I definitely would still do it. So, but yeah, finding time, but it is those things like that. I don't want to be like I used to be many years ago, and I know that won't happen. Somebody just really gives me this like amazing thing when I'm offers like you just can't turn down. But then I would limit myself. Like even doing this, I said I would see how I feel in 2 years. And if I'm okay with it and it's going well, then I'll continue doing it. And if it's not, I have to, look for other opportunities. But Brett's getting ready to have a whole nother opportunity someplace else. So you never know. Like things just change, As you said, you go and work for yourself. You just like it. But personally,
what do you like to do in your spare time?
That's fine. The funny thing is, it's good you asked me that because that's what I'm finding in 2022. Like I don't have spare time.
Okay.
I have none. And I haven't had any for a year and a half. So it's because I always have something to do. Like anytime, even sitting here right now, I already know a bunch of stuff that I need to be doing. So that's why it'd be good when school is out. So in my spare time.
So maybe not in your spare time. What do you like to do in general? Like if you did have spare time,
I did,
what would you be doing?
I love finding different places to eat, as you can see.
Yeah.
I like time with my family. That's super important to me. Like, I even said with the boys, like I have to start doing like a once a month that we have lunch or something. So that's important. Maybe binge watch something. But you know what I said I wanted to start doing? Making jewelry again.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I want to start doing. Like when I moved, I found so much of my stuff. And some stuff I didn't put like up in the attic. I said, let me just keep that right here.
Okay.
Because I'm like, when I'm always looking like I need earrings, I need this and that. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Yeah, I could be
making my
earrings. Like I did that one year for Christmas. I made all of them jewelry. I loved it too. I loved it. But that traveling.
I was gonna say.
Travel. I just got my new renewed passport, and I was thinking about that today. I was like, oh, that's right, because last year at least my passport got stamped twice. But no, I'm ready to travel.
Okay.
Yeah, travel. Just going someplace where it's warm and a beach where I could just relax my mind, and I think that's the thing.
That's very
important. Here,
you need that break.
Yes,
you need that to take that that time to yourself. That self-care, like we call it. And whatever it may be, in your bathtub or going away for a couple of days, anything. You just need that break.
Yeah, like you just feel rejuvenated.
Yes.
If I could be doing anything that I wanted to be doing, and it was no like money restrictions, and still work. Like say I work 2 to 3 days a week, which would be my goal.
Sit up a little bit.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We can't see you.
I went back too far.
Yeah.
I would see, but you see how laid back I got because I'm thinking about.
What could I be doing?
I've always wanted to go on a spa retreat.
Okay.
And I've almost done it a couple of times, and I've almost done it even by myself. But I'm like,
that's funny that you said that because I was looking into doing like a yoga retreat.
Yes, like that.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to.
Yeah,
always wanted to do that. So that would be something that would be really, really nice. In the wintertime, I don't really do anything, but I like to be home by my fireplace, have a cocktail, and flip the remote because I hate the cold. So like wintertime, that's about it, But once the weather starts getting nice, but I would love to go like a spa retreat. I know you've done like wine.
Yeah,
things.
like wine tasting.
I haven't, but
like
I've done that when we went to North Carolina to see our friend Nika before. I did a wine tasting thing, but that was like an indoor thing. It wasn't like when I've seen like your things.
Oh, like we're out in the vineyards and things like that.
So Deb's got a big birthday next year, so we want to do Napa.
I didn't know that you've never been to like.
No, that's
like an outdoor one.
Yeah, so
those are pretty.
That's one that's something that I really want to do. I love brunch. I do come out in the winter for brunch because brunch is my favorite.
Yeah.
Because you just.
And just it's the feeling of sitting outdoors. Like let's say lunch now that it's getting nice out.
Exactly.
You know, it's sitting outdoors.
Oh my goodness. And she knows I'm like that. Yes.
I love that too. I love that too. Brunch.
Yes. Even in the winter for me for brunch is something about your meeting.
Yes.
That early enough in the day. And you know that, you're gonna have that Bellini or your mimosa, or you could just have sparkling wine or sparkling cider or something. But that, and just chat it up with your girls or whoever is there. Because it's guys, I love brunch reviews.
I love brunch too.
We've done brunches at home and stuff like that. But those
I've done brunch with my co-host Tiff.
I'm sure, they always find some. Yes, exactly. They find good places.
Yes,
that's what I don't do a
brunch.
Like that's what you're good. Like you'll start like Googling places and go and try it. And once other people have tried it, they're like, oh, okay, I have to do it.
That's funny because my cousin was texting me a couple of minutes ago, sending me a place that she found. She's like, we gotta go have brunch here. I'm like,
oh wow, where's it at?
In Bridgewater, someplace in Bridgewater. What's the name of it? It's Melissa. She just texted me.
Because that's my dad.
The Bradford in Bridgewater.
Okay.
The Bradford's a rooftop lounge.
What?
Yes. She said we have to try this place for brunch. It has sunset drink, something like that. Or
you gotta screen that shit too.
Yeah. Sorry, Melissa.
Wait,
putting you on the spot.
Wait a minute, because the other thing that I love that was not mentioned is a rooftop.
Yes. We love rooftops.
So this young girl that works with me, and we were talking and we were trying to find an event for do a staff event for like a summer kickoff. And I was like, well, we could do a few rooftops, but they get expensive. She's like, oh. I said, you never been to a rooftop? She's like, no. I was like, okay, first of all.
Oh my God.
Like I was surprised. And she said they would try, her and her friends, they tried to do it for a friend's birthday, but it got complicated. I said, let me explain something to you.
Like a lot of people. It's just you and somebody
I've
else.
done rooftops by myself.
Yes.
In the city, because working in New York, and it is right now it's dangerous, so it's very scary.
Yeah.
But prior to that, like especially while I was consulting my own business, I would go work with a client and they're like, yep, it's beautiful outside. I'm done. I'm leaving here about 1. And I would go up to a rooftop, sit down, have drinks, have lunch by myself, took rows. We went one time with clients, like, oh, we have to go. Deb's come over and we've gone to like 3 or 4 rooftops in a day. Like I because it's just the whole atmosphere. So I like to have a good time. I guess that's the other part. Yes. I do like to have a good time. I like to enjoy. I like when we are like spontaneous and just do it. Like just randomly. And it could have happened tonight, just so you could. The only thing that kept it where it's just us is because Eric was over there by Deb, so we wasn't we wasn't doing that. But otherwise, I would have had Paula and Keith meet me here. And well, Deb knew. I said, oh, he going there. I said, oh, because I was going to have y'all come over the road. So when we were done with the podcast, we like drink and eat and just get food. And like those are the memories. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part, what do I like to do? I like to create memories for my family. That's important. That's very I do think about, because I did a big thing that for me in my transition from being a workaholic, I'm still workaholic but in a different way, is what thumbprint do I want to leave? Mm-hmm. So that's important.
What are you going to be remembered by?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be remembered by?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, how's your family gonna remember you? How's the people around? Not judging me. I don't care what they think about me. Like I don't have time for that. But no, because it's different. It's like I'm not doing it so you can think good of me. But what are you gonna remember? You're gonna remember me and smiling. With your heart, and that's how you know. And I'm looking at the boys' pictures because the way that I know the love. And it's even Will is the same way now, because even when he came in the other day and he would start to come over to give me a hug, and I was like, "Oh, you're dirty," and he gave a little smile, and I still gave him a kiss. The way that they smile when they see you and stuff like those are connections. So it's that I love to randomly came over here the other day. I was going for my walk, and T-Boy finally called me back. I called him earlier, and he called me back, and he was cooking something on the grill, and I didn't cook anything. So I'm like, I'll take a burger.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Right. And that's what's talking about. Gas is high. That's an expensive ride when you come, but I don't care. I'm riding around right
now. Some things are worth it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm riding around now as we come. I was like, you're driving like you got a full tank. You better get to gas.
As we're wrapping it up, any final words, Shell, for our viewers? Any final words?
I hope
advice.
Advice is try it. Just try whatever it is, just to see if you like it. Try something different. It's not just about your regular work you do every day. Try something different. And I hope that I have a website for some college counseling to be happening.
Yes, let us know. We'll post it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That's why I hope so.
You want to post? I know you mentioned an article. We could.
Yes.
Definitely.
That's a really good one. Yeah, because it's very good in regard to what kids need, even though they might be like 20, 22 years old.
But Shelly, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
I knew an hour would go by.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you tune in. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave us any feedback, any comments.
All right.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for
You're
joining
welcome.
us. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.